Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of our Calling Reimagined web series, where we talk to customers, partners about cloud transformation, specifically around calling. What are the things that are going on in the marketplace when you look at cloud calling, when you look at the migration to the cloud? And we normally talk to analysts. We did that in our first episode. We also talked to some customers in our prior episodes. But today we're taking a slightly different slant and talking to two experts from within Cisco. I have here today with me Roxanne Raymundo, who is the director of our partner operations organization. Hi, Rox.
Hello.
And I also have Stephen Burke, who's director in our product management team. Hi, Stephen.
Hi.
And what we're going to do is the three of us are going to talk about cloud migration, which is essentially what is it? What are the challenges? What do customers need to do about it? How should partners think about cloud migration? So before I get into the details of cloud migration, I want to set the stage with what is the problem in the market that we're trying to solve? I think the problem when we look at cloud transformation is everyone knows about the cloud. Everyone also has moved some workload to the cloud, especially when you look at the last 15 months or so when we've had this huge hybrid work revolution. People know about cloud storage. They know about emails and what they moved, whether it's Office 365 or other workloads, they moved it to the cloud. We all know on the consumer side, everything from photos to other documents are stored in the cloud. But when you look at calling and businesses are looking at their PBX, whether it's a small business, a mid or a large enterprise, they're used to having their PBX or their phone system is something their IT organization goes and turns the knobs, and they have a certain level of security about, oh, I have it, I control it, that's the only way I can manage it. So now we're starting to see, is there advantages to moving that to the cloud? That's the conversation we're going to have today. So I'm going to start off with just asking our two experts. I'll start with you, Stephen. Why should people move their calling solution to the cloud? Are there inherent advantages to moving to the cloud when it comes to calling?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for the question. When you move to the cloud, a couple key things. One, it's always up to date. You get faster access to new features, security patches, etc. It's there, on a weekly, monthly basis versus maybe doing an update every 18 months, 2 years that you might with an on-premises system.
Mm-hmm.
And the cloud provider takes care of that update. So it's much simpler and easier for you to consume that.
Great.
I think some of the other benefits there are it's from a resiliency standpoint and data recovery or a disaster recovery standpoint, you're in better shape.
Mm-hmm.
Here in Texas, we live near the coast. A hurricane comes in, floods buildings. If you got an on-prem phone system, that might bring you down, and then you've got to replace the whole thing. If the phone system's in the cloud, you can stay up and going.
Yeah, great. So, Rox, I think now that Stephen has his view on it, when a customer is thinking about going to the cloud, can you talk a bit about what should they consider? What are some of the key things a customer needs to think about as they take this journey?
Yeah, DP. I just also wanted to add, when you asked why should they be migrating to the cloud, I think in this hybrid work environment, where you may have some folks going back to the office, but folks working remotely, moving to a cloud solution really gives you that access anytime, anywhere, to all the services that are available. So that's another important reason of why folks are looking to move to the cloud. And when it comes to what they should consider, foremost, most customers are running a business. So they need to make sure that whatever migration they do is seamless, that it does not disrupt the business that they're in. So there's a lot of things that they should take into consideration. What are their features today? What is the size of their company? How many locations do they have? When do they need to move? How can they migrate those customers over? So those are all factors that go into the consideration of the move to the cloud and how they should look at
Think
that
about
solution.
It.
Yep.
Yeah. No, it's a very good point. I mean, it's always interesting, Rox, you talked about what business are they in, what are they doing? And we all know, we think this is what our products do and this is what our users are doing. But invariably we find, especially when it comes to calling systems and PBXs, I'm always fascinated when people say, like, there's 100 features and we need them all because we use them all, but then they don't use them all. Is there a way, maybe, Stephen, is there an example or something where you could talk about how a customer actually can figure out what they're using, so when they're migrating to the cloud, they can be more realistic about, or objective, what should I move and what's important? Is there any help we can provide, or how should companies think about it?
Yeah, sure. From the Cisco standpoint, we have an application, Cloud Connected UC, or CCUC, and we deploy that with their on-premises system, and it provides a lot of analytics to the customer in terms of how is your system actually being used, which applications are really being used, gives them a single global view across multiple sites, provides analytics on call success quality, their traffic, what endpoints and headsets and so forth are being used. And that's really useful as somebody considers what's the right cloud calling solution for them.
Yeah. So we talked about what the problem is. You both have talked about how they should think about it. So I want to move next to what are the next steps and what they should do. So before we did that, I had a question, Rox. You run the team that does partner operations, and you're in the weeds with partners and customers on migrations and going through the challenges. But do you see, is it just one size fits all in the sense, I sometimes think small businesses and then there's large enterprises with complications. How does Cisco look at it? Is it one size fits all?
It's absolutely not one size fits all. Every business is unique. They have unique integrations. They have unique ways that they're looking at things. We try to take the overall same approach and process to how we migrate customers, but again, based on the size of the customer, based on how many sites they have. Obviously, the larger they are, the more sites they have, the more complex environments they have, the more we have to spend time really digging in and figuring out how are they using it today, how do they want to use it in the future, and working closely with them to make sure that we are deploying it correctly.
So is it also fair to say that it's a phased approach, Rox, in terms of, it's not like you come in on Monday morning and suddenly everything is magically moved to the cloud, is it?
No, it is magically moved to the cloud when you come in on Monday morning, but there's so much background work that needs to be done to get to that magic moment on Monday morning. And yes, it is a very much phased approach. There's multiple phases to it. There's the first phase is the discovery phase. So really digging into what they have today, what are the features they're using, what are the devices they're using. Then we move on to the assessment phase, where based on what they have today, what are we going to eventually deploy within their solution. Then we look at the actual execution. As we migrate from the existing platform over to the cloud solution platform, we have to create the users, assign the features, kind of all that work that needs to be done. And then finally, customer acceptance and handoff. We want to make sure that the solution that we've deployed meets what the customer needs. They do various levels of testing, accept the solution, and we hand it off to them for a successful deployment.
Great. So it looks like there's a process and multiple phases that we follow. I want to go back to Stephen. Stephen, you and I had a conversation earlier about, an analyst had talked about how perception is not always reality. Can you share a little bit about how companies think they're doing something, but the reality is it's different, about how they use their phone system?
Sure. So, we actually had an analyst helping one of our customers think through what's the right solution for them. And this analyst was leaning more towards a lot of your users probably aren't even using their desk phone, and, they don't really need that old corporate phone anyway. So let's, just move them over to sort of a soft client type approach. They don't even really need PSTN services. And so we were able to come in and turn up that CCUC product I was talking about earlier, and that gave them visibility that they wouldn't have had otherwise. And what they found was that actually critical parts of their business were actually using those phone systems. They were using the call control, they were using their IP phones, and they were also using advanced routing patterns, which, had they gone the direction the analyst was guiding them, would have been a big disconnect for their business. And so making sure that you really understand what is being used today and how it's being used is critical. But then also, as I think we've talked about, thinking about where you're going in the future, what's critical for your business as you look forward is going to be important as well.
Yeah. Speaking of going into the future, one of the things that I've seen happen over the last, couple of years is the level of competition in our space has definitely heated up. There's no shortage of big competitors. We know who they are, and there's a bunch of new startups coming every day. So, Stephen, does the competition help as well in terms of, do they say, here's our solution, or are you starting to see competitors helping others migrate to the cloud?
Yeah, the competition is certainly as aggressive as we are out there trying to migrate customers to their solutions. They're different competitors help in different ways. I think certainly from a Cisco standpoint, we think we've got a great approach in terms of we allow customers to do it in a phased approach in terms of you don't have to move all your users on day one. We have what we call a ramp, and so people can spread out that migration over time. We also have the ability to select the right type of offering for them, right? Some of our customers are going to say, you know what, for some of my locations, I need those to stay on premises for a while. Some of them I'm going to move to the cloud. And with the Cisco solution, you can have that dual or what we call hybrid capability, and it can work great. And so I think that's one of the areas that Cisco differentiates itself, is that ability to work in that hybrid space that a lot of our competitors, they only know one way of doing business, right? It's 100% cloud. With the Cisco option, you can sort of move at the pace that makes sense for you.
Perfect. So, Rox, we talked about customers and how what they should be thinking about it. We talked a bit about Cisco, of course, and then we talked about the competition. I want to move to the most important segment at Cisco, which is our partners who have helped us get to the stage of market leadership in calling. How do we work with partners, right? I've heard partners sort of say, we want to do some of this, and can you help our partners understand, their role in migration and how we actually work with our partners to do the migration? Can you talk a little bit about the partner ecosystem when it comes to cloud migrations?
Yeah, absolutely. When I was talking about everything to do with the migration work, that was through the partner. So we definitely rely on the partner and their relationships with the customers, and they can utilize us as much as they want or as little as they want. So if they want to concentrate on the relationship with their customers, they want to concentrate on selling to the customers, they want to concentrate on higher level services, they can utilize Cisco to do some of that standard kind of migration services. Or they can do it, they can choose to do it themselves. So we really are here to help them. We're trying to take down any of the hurdles that are required to migrate these customers to the cloud in any way that feels appropriate to the partner.
Great. Yeah, I know talking to some of the partners, Rox, they've been very pleased with the work your team has been doing with them. And it looks like it's a bit of a push and a pull approach from a customer perspective. In some cases, our sales team are pulling them to move to the cloud, and then our partners are pushing them to move to the cloud. So between Cisco and the partners, I think we've got a very steady clip of cloud migrations. I know the cloud calling team is very proud of all the numbers we're starting to see. Slowly but surely, the number of cloud calling users on our platform is increasing, and that's always encouraging for us in the business. I want to talk at the end about when we look at cloud migration and all of the challenges that people have, it looks like between the partner and Cisco, we have a way to migrate them, make it painless, make it seamless. And Stephen, I like the part that you said it's not only is it not one size fits all, there are also phased migrations where you move certain locations and certain sites, and then eventually you have a full cloud transformation. But I'd like to close by giving each of you an opportunity to say, we talked a lot about all of the moving pieces around cloud migration, but Rox, what's the one takeaway? If you wanted to say, hey, this is what I want people to remember when they think about cloud migration, what would that one thing be?
That one thing would be that Cisco has spent a lot of time and effort thinking about this migration to the cloud. We have a lot of experience moving customers to the cloud. We have provided tools, resources processes that can be followed to make this as seamless as possible. And although it can be a scary thing, we've done this very successfully in the past, and we can help our partners and our customers migrate easily to
Awesome.
cloud services.
Awesome. Thanks, Rox. So, Stephen, Rox and her team are there to make sure that they hold hands with the customers and partners in the migration journey. What's your one takeaway? What do you think people should remember, or how should they think about the cloud migration journey?
Sure. For me, I think it's really thinking about where do they want to go, from a business perspective over the next 3 to 5 years, and tying that back into, so then how does your calling system need to support that business direction, growth, what have you, right? So a lot of times, and you kind of started off with this, right? People think of, oh, I've got these 100 features in my old phone system. I got to have the 100 in the new one. Well, again, most people aren't using all of them. They've tried things out, many years back, not necessarily still using all those capabilities. So really focus on what's your system need to look like in the future? What are the capabilities you need to drive your business and support the business operations and employees and so forth as you go forward, and find a system that closely matches that goal.
Awesome. Well, Rox and Stephen, thank you for your time and your insights today. For those of you who are out there as customers, we're here to help you. As partners, we're along with you in this journey. And for our competition, you need to watch out, because we're ready to help customers migrate to the cloud. On that note, I want to thank all of you for listening in on this webinar. We'll be back with our next webinar to talk more about how we're reimagining the calling landscape here at Cisco. Thanks, everyone.